What city?
Hanoi?
Oh, Hanoi. You're a northern person. And An, nice to meet you. My name is Brendan. I have to introduce. My name is Brendan McGowan, and I live in Japan. I live in Hiroshima, Japan. I've been here for 33 years, but there are times where I'll take a 1 year sabbatical or leave and teach in another country. So I've taught in Saudi Arabia, Korea, Taiwan, America. So I've taught all over the world, but I'm back in Japan teaching mostly Vietnamese students now online. And I really enjoy it because you Vietnamese are excellent language learners. It's really impressive. Very nice. Let's see. We have Lian Le. Are you there, Lian Le? Did I pronounce that right, Le? Yeah. All right. If I don't pronounce your name, please let me know. All right. We have Ha Tin Tin, Man, Hong, who is UAH Vietnam. What is UAH? University of Hanoi or something? UAH. What is that actually?
No,
Yeah, UAH.
University of Architecture, Ho Chi Minh
Ah,
City.
Ho Chi Minh City. Nice to have you join us, Hong. Very good. Now, Liz, we
Yeah,
have a mix
okay.
of
Nice to meet you too.
so architecture. Yeah, we have an interesting mix of students. Wonderful. And we have Tron just joined us. Hello, Tron. How are you? It's Anna Tron. Hello, Anna. Oh, your microphone. We can see you, but we can't hear your microphone. All right, let me show you. I just prepared a quick presentation because I wasn't sure if we were going to have mostly new students or return students like Tintin and Ellis. So I made this little presentation. Let me get it ready here for you. And I'll share the screen in just a moment. And here we go. All right, so I write, hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you. New students, my name is Brendan McGowan. I live in Hiroshima, Japan, but I teach many Vietnamese students around the world. I have taught in Hiroshima for 30 years, but I have also taught English academic writing in Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, America, and Korea. Welcome to our course, and I will answer any questions you might have. Here are some images of the places I have lived. That's Chicago, the famous Lincoln Park area, which has a zoo here. This is Hiroshima with the famous atomic bomb dome that survived the atomic bombing in August 1945. This is Al-Asa, Saudi Arabia. This is the old traditional fort. I'm not sure if this is Ottoman Turkish fort or if it's an Arabian Sea fort, but it's really the day that I visited this fort, it was 50 degrees centigrade. It was the hottest weather I've ever been in. It was completely dry, but it was 50 degrees outside with two twins. I called them Mohammed and his brother Abdullah. I called them the twins. They were traditional Saudi Arabian princes with beards, and they owned 200 camels. They were very kind guys, and they were buying gifts for their mother. They have something like 13 brothers and sisters, and they were buying gifts for their mother. It was an interesting day for me when I visited this place. Hey, An, what would you like to ask?
Are you sure you are not mistaking Osama bin Laden for a good father?
Well, this is the point, An. Some of my friends said, don't go teach in us. Don't teach in Saudi Arabia. That's the home of Osama bin Laden. But An, the people I
No,
met
I'm
were
not,
nice.
I'm not discriminating against Saudi Arabia because it's the home of Osama bin Laden. I'm discriminating against Saudi Arabia because it's the home of a bunch of Arabic princes.
This is true. There are where I was
They're
called.
basically capitalist Middle Eastern people.
Yes, very capitalist, An. Very old structure to society. Um, I don't know. There were so many princes on. It was confusing for me. But they have very tight social family things on. So he's opposed to capitalism as he's beating Pikachu. All right. I understand what you're trying to say. Don't like extreme capitalism. Well, we can have many discussions about that. If it's any consolation, the two princes were very kind to me on, and they used to buy me delicious Colombian coffee each morning when I taught them English, right? Okay, so that's just a little introduction for you. Would you like to ask me any questions about anything? You can raise your hand. Our first, 20 minutes we'll do getting to know you. Anything you like. I have so many questions always for Tintin living near Germany, north of Germany. Tintin, what is the city you actually live in? You said it's north, near Bremen. Mr. Tintin, but he's having a little bit of speaking problems, possibly with the COVID. So I hope he can answer our question. Tintin, are you there?
Yeah,
Hey, Tintin, sorry to ask you because you don't feel well. Tintin, what's your city in northern Germany? Okay, he's gonna lay off the speaking. That's too bad. All right, that's fine. Let's go to anybody.
I accidentally pressed on mute.
Tintin, do you remember your funny story you told me?
Yes.
He was on board a streetcar or was it bus in Germany, and you walked up to a Vietnamese woman and you thought it was your mom, your
Yeah.
mother, and you started to speak to her, and
Yeah.
she understood what
I
you were
was
saying.
on the tram.
But it's not your mother, it's just another Vietnamese woman.
Yeah.
That's really funny. And she could speak to you in Vietnamese, right?
Yeah. But her haircut was almost the same as my
Oh
mom.
my gosh. Was she friendly?
Yeah, but she had a weird look.
Really? I thought she had a friendly look. It was a weird look.
Yeah, because she just randomly just thought me as some weird person trying to speak to
You're
somebody.
just like a nice teenage secondary school student saying
Yeah.
hello to a stranger from Vietnam. I think it's kind of a nice story, Tintin.
It happened when I was 9 years old.
Oh, when you're 9. So you were still quite young when that happened. Sorry, I need water. All right, now listen, I was trying to choose the lesson. We have a textbook. Let me hold up the textbook. I forgot to put it next to my computer, so let me hold it up for you. We have these academic skills writing books, level 2 and level 3. If I can show you, there's level 3. We're going to do mostly level 3. But for tonight, I just wanted to do one lesson from book number 2 that's really important. It's a lesson that I wanted to do with Ellis and Tintin and the other students. And it's a good warm-up lesson. For some of you, it will be review. But it's a really important lesson for secondary writing and for academic writing. So we'll do that. We have Ein. Hello, Ein.
Yes, I have a question. Like, how can I get this book?
Oh, this book, it's available through Amazon.com. And that was Amazon in Japan. But I think this is an international book, Ein. So it's through Cambridge, the famous university. And it's written by these 4 researchers, Chin, Reed, Ray, and Yamazaki, for students in the Asian market, I think. And it's really, these books are unbelievably good. They're so comprehensive with the details that I try to keep as close to these books as I can. I don't know if you can see that because there's a screen delete. Let me write it in chat, the full name, called Academic Writing Skills. I'm going to take I take a lot of lesson notes. So these books will be so close to what goes on in the books because I don't want to disturb the structure of the books because they're written so well with so many years of expertise and research. Academic Writing Skills by, I'll give you the writers' names, by Chin from China, Reed, Yamazaki from Japan, and Ray, which is a British surname. Okay, so there it is in chat if you check the chat box. And this will make it easier, Ein, to find because there are many books called academic writing books, so we have to know the exact title. And I suggest book 3 is probably best, Ein, but book 2 is also really good for review. Let's see. An wrote, I'm betting on Frankfurt. For what? Football, soccer on? What are you betting on them for?
Yeah, soccer.
Oh, soccer.
The German league.
Do you love soccer?
No.
Okay. All right, you guys, let me get tonight's lesson. So I'm going to use this lesson for your group as a warm-up, but also there are some really good things to learn in here. It's kind of long, so we should jump right into it. We have enough time, I do believe. It's called improving your work. And so tonight we will study how to avoid overgeneralization in your academic writing. Overgeneralization is when a statement is inaccurately presented as being true in all situations. And we'll also explore hedging to avoid overgeneralizing. Then in part 2 of tonight's lesson, we'll study how to avoid redundancy, where a phrase is used too often in your essay. So for both of these points, I chose this lesson because in the young writers programs here at NCSN, I noticed that students tend to use expressions like people think, and if we could use hedging, you could change that to some people think, or a majority of people think, or most people think, or only a few. So this is the hedging we're going to study tonight. And then there's another thing too, redundancy. Yeah, some of the young writers will write a sentence and the following sentence sounds just like the one that came before that sentence, preceding sentence, where they're basically saying the same exact thing 2 times. They're repeating it, becomes too much repetition. That's called redundancy. Redundancy can be good, but not when the sentences are right next to each other. Redundancy works better if you state something in the start of a paragraph and then in the conclusion you say it a little bit differently towards the end of the conclusion. That's when it's okay. It makes good, strong writing. But we're going to try not to put 2 sentences together that are saying exactly the same thing. Hey, An, do you like to read? You have a strong, powerful voice. Would you like to read?
I just practice my American accent and that's it.
Sounds good to me. Would you like to read the blue here?
Overgeneralization happens when we write something like, people believe that Wikipedia is an unreliable source of information since anybody can rewrite and revise its content. This sentence means that all people believe that Wikipedia is an unreliable source of information. Clearly, this is wrong because there are people who do not believe this. Overgeneralization keeps the impression that the writer is unaware of or has not considered other possibilities. This makes the writer's arguments appear weak and less convincing to the reader.
Yeah, nice. I like your YouTube broadcaster's voice. All right. The next one, I knew we had younger students in class, so I kind of chose a crazy example that's kind of entertaining. Alice, would you like to read this one? Is your microphone okay?
Okay. Here's another crazy example. All Chinese people eat noodles and love pandas. Really? Can you find some Chinese who do not like noodles or who do not love pandas? And your original statement that all Chinese people eat noodles and love pandas cannot stand as a true statement. Would it be better to write although pandas and eating noodles are loved by many Chinese, there are almost likely some people who do not like noodles and surprisingly some farmers who do not like panda.
Yeah, like if the panda is eating the farmer's food, you could say some Chinese farmers do not like pandas. So it's a fun example. We'll get more serious now. We can go to part 2. Part 2, how can we avoid the overgeneral, it's a difficult word to say, overgeneralization. All right. Ein, would you like to read this blue part here?
Me,
Or I
right?
can add some words after that.
Oh,
Assumption.
no, not An, not An. Ein. Ein is pronounced differently. Ein, who is in Russia, on. All right. Here's Ein.
Oh,
Okay.
Problem on.
How can we avoid overgeneralization? Let's try hacking, which I used to avoid. Many people seem to believe that Wikipedia is an unreliable source of information since anybody can write and rewrite its content. Here are some examples of heading words to help you to get past overgeneralization. Verb, seems, tend, appear, indicate, suggest, assume, believe, modal verbs, may, might, can, could, adjective, many, some, few. Adverbs of frequency, usually, often, sometimes. Adverbs of certainty, probably, possibly, perhaps, conceivably. Nouns, assumption, possibility, probability.
Yeah, very good. So here we used many people seem to believe. This combination is really good to avoid overgeneralization. Many people doesn't mean all people. It means maybe 70 to 80% of the population of people who like to must do research seem, it appears that they believe Wikipedia is not a reliable source of information, since anybody can write and revise the articles you find. And then Wikipedia always shows if an article is being challenged because there's not enough evidence or proof to support what they are saying in a Wikipedia article. So then the verbs seem, tend, appear. We could easily take this seem and we could use tend. Many people tend to believe that Wikipedia is an unreliable source. Many people appear to believe. If you write many people indicate to believe, that doesn't sound very good. The first three sound very good. Seem to believe, tend to believe, appear to believe. Indicate would be more of a research word. You could say the research data indicates that not everyone followed the COVID-19 mask mandate, where citizens in certain countries had to put on a mask. The research indicates that there were many people opposed to that. So that's more data and research. Suggest is also again, suggest can't be used here. Many people suggest to believe sounds very strange, but we could say the data suggests that not everybody followed the COVID mask mandate in some countries throughout Asia, let's say. Assume. This is pretty good. Many people assume to believe. It sounds a little weird. We could take away the two if we write many people assume that Wikipedia is an unreliable source of information, okay? But our research shows that 80% of the articles have good citations and academic support. Many people believe, of course, because it's right there. So you would just say many people believe that Wikipedia, that's fine. The verbs may, might, can, could, these are all excellent. May. This would be in a research paper. You could say, future research may indicate that something, right? Okay, so by the way, tonight's lesson here will be made into a PDF and a file and a Microsoft Word file. So I want you to have access to these notes, and my advice is save all of these lessons so that if you're writing a research paper, you can quickly go back and you can check these things to help you in writing. And I didn't translate these to Vietnamese. Sometimes I translate them to Vietnamese for the younger students, a word like probability. What is the probability of there being a super typhoon in Southeast Asia in the next 5 years? Things like that. So sometimes I translate them to Vietnamese, but since we have so many adult students, people who are doing research, you probably know this word probability pretty well. So I did translate these. But again, by all means, keep the Word file and the PDF to help you. I'm using Apple Pages to do my word processing here. Okay, so here's a sample essay about Wikipedia, and we'll use this in our lessons. It is 3 pages long, but let's look at just the introduction. Can you find hedging words in this paragraph? Hint, there are only 2 hedging words below. I didn't highlight them. I want you to find them, all right? So let's get another reader. Anna Tron, did you get your microphone to work?
Yeah. Can you
Do
hear
you
me now?
enjoy, yeah, I hear you. Do you enjoy reading?
Yes.
All right. Would you like to read this paragraph for us?
As the internet gained popularity, many hoped it would develop as a decentralizing and democratizing force where people could share information and learn from each other. Wikipedia, a free online encyclopedia and the world's largest reference resource, embodies such ideals in allowing multiple users to write and revise content. This collaborative practice differs from the process of compiling conventional encyclopedia, which relies on scholars and experts to contribute information. Wikipedia's underlying belief is that by having more participants contributing and editing information, each entry will have greater range, depth, and accuracy. Some, however, claim such thinking is naive and fundamentally flawed due to the belief that a reliance on amateur editors will lead to inaccurate and unreliable entries. Yet, Wikipedia does provide a useful starting point for research, offering a comprehensive overview of complex topics, a neutral editorial stance, and a dedicated commitment to quality.
Very nice, Anna. You're a great reader, so thank you so much for that. So, An, can you find our words here that are hedging words, An? He raised his hand, so I think he found them. There are only two.
Well, hoped. I think so. It's hoped. There's a hope at the start.
That's not bad, actually. For a verb, it's kind of a soft verb, right? You could say
Yes.
anticipate or hoped. Not bad. Pretty good. That's for the verb ones. I was thinking,
But there's
here-
also there's still overgeneralization because some, however, claim that such thinking is naive. But amateur editors, it actually doesn't think that all amateur editors will lead to inaccurate or unreliable entries. There are some amateur editors which are actually kind of
Nice.
good.
There you go. Pretty good. An, you got that one. What about here? Do you think this is
Many,
used well?
yeah, many,
that's actually
and
used.
there
Because if I took this away
some
and I
and
wrote,
many.
all right, if I took this away and I wrote everyone, that's pretty bad because everyone, does that mean like a 92-year-old woman knows how to use Wikipedia? That's everybody in a country, right? That's not very good.
There's also people. There's also animals which are animalized. You know that monkey who stole a tourist phone and just took a selfie with it.
Yes, I remember
That
story.
monkey could also use Wikipedia, and that could also be considered a person who could use Wikipedia.
All right, that's kind of interesting. There's one more. Can you find one more? We have Lian Le. Are you there? If I'm saying your name, I'm not sure if I'm saying it properly. Le, is your microphone okay?
I'm Mary.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
I'm new.
I swear
Yeah.
I was the word like some, however, claim
Yeah.
such claim some.
That's really good. Yeah, you got it. Think of these hedgings as softeners. They soften the language. You could say, again, if you said, the majority of critics, however, claim such thinking is, well, we can't really say that. You would have to do research to like a survey. So we're going to change this. I believe it was some, however. It's a little bit ambiguous. This is what An was trying to say. He said some of this is ambiguous. It's not very clear, but some is probably pretty good here. It works well. So there are two hedgings. It's such an interesting concept. It's very easy to use, but when we stop and think about these things, there are many categories of hedgings that will really make your writing stronger. But I encourage you to use them. Okay, nice work on that, by the way. The textbook is going to use the Wikipedia example a lot, so that's just the introduction to the 3-page essay. Are there any questions before we move on to this thing called redundancy? And this is much more frequent in some of the writing I see with the younger students. So we can move on to redundancy.
It's also a word for oversimplification.
Yes. And it's also a word used in businesses on when a company, and now before you were talking about capitalism, right?
You have to be laid off because,
laid off is
there's not enough
redundancy.
work to be done.
Yeah. And
They're
that's
gonna
one of
lay
the
you off because they can't pay you enough.
So it's a profit-driven company. So on there's your capitalist criticism, which is fine with me if you want to do that on. Elvin is here. Elvin, how are you? Elvin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Elvin, how are you today?
I am feeling really great.
Very fine. Good, good, good. Hey, Elvin, can you read this part here, number 3?
Yeah. Part 3, avoiding redundancy in your writing. A word or phrase is considered redundant when it is needlessly repeated to avoid redundancy.
Redundancy. Good.
Look out for the following repetition of vocabulary or phrases in sentences and paragraphs. Sentence within a paragraph that have the sample meaning. Paragraph is where the main ideas are too related to each other.
Yeah, these are kind of important. So let's see. An, you raised your hand. Would you like to read these one more time?
Oh no, I just forgot to lower my hand, but okay. A word or phrase is considered redundant when it is needlessly repeated. To avoid redundancy, look for the following: repetition, paragraph with the same meaning, and paragraphs in an essay when main ideas are too related to each other.
And so, look at these examples. This is a class exercise for you. The underlined parts need to be changed to avoid redundancy. The first example has been done for you. In the other examples, try to write a better example. X means it's wrong, 0 means it's correct. So the first example isn't very good. The basic fundamentals of successful language learning are motivation and practice. Well, what's the problem here? If you look at basic and fundamentals, they mean the same thing in a vocabulary word. So it should be the fundamentals of success language learning are motivation and practice, because basic and fundamentals mean the same thing. So why repeat the word twice? It's like saying, I'm hungry for dinner. All right. It would be a little bit.
X2 has the same problem. Repeat and again have the same meaning.
Yes, nice. And so that's repeat and again have the same meaning. So can you help us with this one? Can you rewrite it? If students do not understand, the teacher will repeat the question again.
Just remove the again, that's it.
Yeah, not bad, but you could, what do you think? Take away repeat, right? So let me show you the correction, what it would look like. Or
we'll say the question again.
Yeah,
that's good enough.
Better. Okay, if students do not understand, the teacher will say the question again for like a listening test. All right. So, or for language learning. So I'm going to change that back because I have to use this again in another class. So I will leave it open for you. Okay. So just verbally, let's say it one more time. If the students do not understand, the teacher will say the question again. If the students do not understand, the teacher will repeat the question, right? And I'll put the mistake style back in there. Look at number 3 now. 1 benefits. Let's see. Ayn, would you like to read this one, number 3?
One benefit of studying abroad is that one can experience a country's language and culture directly. People are more exposed to the language and culture by living in the country.
And then Brendan, the teacher, said, I see this mistake sometimes in student essays. They'll repeat things a little bit too much, you know. All right, so let's take this out. Let's see, An, you answered the last one, so I have to call on someone else to give them a chance. We have to see, let's see, we have Hong from the architecture student. Would you like to try? How can we correct this? Okay, now I'm going to stop there. Do you see what the mistake is? All right. Let's go to Ellis 12. Ellis, are you there? She's maybe Hong is having a microphone problem. Ellis, what do you think? What's the problem with this one? I think you see it right away. Ha's very quick. Ellis, we got to try it with you. Oh, Ellis is also having Wi-Fi problems. You guys are having some Wi-Fi problems. Anna Tran, would you like to try it? Let's see. Is Anna there? Hey, hello, Anna. Would you like to try this one?
Hi. Well, I think I can change it to one benefit of studying abroad is that one can experience a country's language and be more exposed to the culture by living in the country.
But if I write this one here, it's a little bit redundant because we already talked about studying abroad is general, being in the country is my own addition, right? So it's a little redundant. I was thinking if we simply culture directly and experience the culture directly. So what I would suggest here is don't repeat this. Let me put the period closer. Don't repeat the second one because it says exactly what is said in the first one. So one benefit of studying abroad is that one can experience a country's language and culture directly. People are more exposed to the language and culture by living in the country. It's pretty much saying the same thing two times. So it's redundant. It's repeating itself. So we could take this away and we can say one benefit of studying abroad is that one can experience a country's language and experience in the culture directly, and the culture directly. Experience the language and culture. The cultures and the culture and culture directly. Okay, so that's all we need. That's the corrected version. But again, I'm going to use this lesson again, so I'm going to take this away so the other students don't see the answers. Okay, one moment. Okay, final exercise. You're working very fast, by the way, so thank you for that. The final exercise, following paragraph, identify the redundant sentences and delete them. So let's go to another student so more people have a chance to speak. We have Mary Lee. How are you?
Good.
Good. How are you? Would you like to read? Do you enjoy reading?
Yes, but I'm not good at speaking English.
Oh, okay. If you can read the words directly, then that would be good enough. Would you like to try that?
Sure.
Okay.
A native English speaker's judgment on the ability of a language learner often depends on pronunciation. Good pronunciation makes a speaker sound fluent in the language. Thus, if learners wish to regard it as fluent, they need to practice pronunciations, not grammar. Focusing on pronunciation helps more than studying structure or words. Can a non-native speaker talk like a native English speaker without knowledge of grammar and a large vocabulary? Theoretically, it is possible because native speakers do not always talk grammatically and may often use words incorrectly. Native speakers make grammar mistakes and may use only limited vocabulary. However, if students wish to achieve an advanced level of English naturally, they need to have more than good pronunciation. Good pronunciation is not enough to make a non-native speaker an effective user of the language.
Very good, Mary Lee. It's good reading. The biggest word in here was this theoretically. Theoretically is, it's quite a big word. Theoretically, In theory, you could say, in theory, it is possible. So can you find some redundancies here? If you could raise your hand, just let me know. This might take a few minutes to really study closely to find the redundancies. So we start with a native English speaker's judgment on the ability of a language learner often depends on pronunciation. That's okay. Good pronunciation makes a speaker sound fluent in the language. What about this? Does this seem like a problem statement, everybody? What do you think?
Well, you see, if the first sentence is about an English speaker's judgment on pronunciation and the ability of a language learner, then why is the second sentence about good pronunciation making a speaker sound fluent in the English language?
Very
it's
good.
It's basically the same thing.
It's the same thing. So we can take it away. Now, listen, I won't take it away because, again, I have to use this for the next class. If I delete it, right, it will
Can't
be
you just
like,
make another copy and delete it?
Yeah, let me do that. I'll do it at the bottom because because you're right on by when we're done with this, then I'll put it at the bottom here, right? And then I'll delete it at the bottom copy. Because at the end, what I'd like to do is read the whole paragraph in the best possible way, right? So I'm going to take it away because, as An said, this is a complete repetition. It's redundant. A native English speaker's judgment on the ability of a language learner often depends on pronunciation. Good pronunciation makes a speaker sound fluent in that language. We don't really need to say that. We can assume that that's exactly what the writer meant. Okay, next. Thus, if learners wish to be regarded, sorry about my typo, if learners wish to be regarded as fluent, they need to practice pronunciation, not grammar. That's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. Focusing on pronunciation helps more than studying structures or words. Oh, what about this? Do we need this? I mean, it's an easy question. I'm setting you up for the question.
Well,
Do we need
focusing on
this?
pronunciation helps more than studying structural words. Isn't that the wait? Let me see. Plus, if learners wish to be regarded as fluent, they need to practice pronunciation, not grammar. And the next sentence is just adding on, but I'm not even sure that's adding on, just a separate point. Focusing on pronunciation helps more than studying structural words. That's basically structural words is basically not grammar. So this is like same as the second sentence.
Yeah.
And
so again, we can take it away.
Yeah, we can take it away.
There it goes. All right. Let's go to this question. Can a non-native speaker talk like a native English speaker without knowledge of grammar and a large vocabulary? Now they pose the question here. They give two statements, and then they finally get to the question here. Can a non-native speaker? And this is probably pretty good, even though it seems a little repetitious. It's good to sort of reiterate, to summarize, to say it again, but this time making it into a question is actually kind of skillful because now we're getting ready to answer this question. Theoretically,
so it's kind of just like asking. You're not actually asking a question. That's like, well, we actually have that in Vietnamese. So we're just asking a fake question and we're answering it back. And
it's
then
called
theoretically,
rhetorical question. It means you're kind of theoretically asking a question, which you use so much in academic writing, you know.
Yes.
Okay, so then the response, theoretically, it is possible because native speakers.
Whoa there. Theoretically, it is possible. What does that mean? Theoretically means that it is possible.
So you think it's redundant?
Yes, it is.
Very good. You got it. Oh, you're too fast, Mr. Okay, theoretically.
Just remove theoretically and add a uppercase I. That's it.
That's better. Theoretically sounds like a big word, but if we just wrote that, it is possible because native speakers do not always talk grammatically and may often use words incorrectly. Nice. Okay. Next, native speakers make grammar mistakes and may use only limited vocabulary. Okay.
Yeah, probably native people don't even use the whole vocabulary, so I don't know what's wrong with native people.
Native people, the thing is, when you start traveling, when you become an adult, you find that people in areas outside of big
But
cities,
teacher,
inside big
there's
cities,
a you have to turn back of it. So do not always talk grammatically and may often use words incorrectly.
yeah.
Doesn't that mean the same thing?
Now, you know why? Because do not use words could be vocabulary, and then grammatically is associated with grammar. So be careful with that one. When they use words, they're describing vocabulary, right? So these two are separate, they're independent. I wouldn't correct this one. I think this is a pretty good statement because we took out theoretically and we just wrote it is possible. Okay. Let's go to this one though. However, if students wish to achieve an advanced level of English, naturally
Oh,
they
just skip that. We have more than good. We have more than good. What does that mean? More than good.
more than good. You
You should be using better pronunciation, not more than good pronunciation. All right.
That's very nice. Okay. Should we say, let's go back, read it again. However, if students wish to achieve an advanced level of English, naturally they need to have
more and good are basically the same thing here. So better.
What do you think?
Well,
That's what I
is,
like.
adequate is a good verb. C1 vocabulary is always good if you want to be informal.
There you go. Now, next, good pronunciation is not enough to make a native speaker an effective user of the language. This needs a conclusion, everybody. This isn't redundancy, but you could say, therefore, good pronunciation is not enough. Or you can write, we can conclude good pronunciation is not enough to make a non-native speaker an effective user of the language. All this is saying is you might sound like you have a good pronunciation, but it's not enough to be a native level speaker. Anatran, you raised your hand. What would you like to add?
Well, I want to add something in the sentence. However, if students wish to achieve an advanced level of English, naturally they need to have a more than good pronunciation. I think more than good here is like they need to have something more other than just pronunciation. They need something more than just that skill. So like replacing that with the the more than good with the adequate is not really make sense here.
Let's change it. However, if students wish to achieve an advanced level of English, naturally they need to have something.
Do you mean that you can't use cause and effect here?
Yeah, it's kind of cause and effect, but however, if students wish to achieve an advanced level of English, naturally they need to have something more than pronunciation to strengthen. What do you think of this?
Well, doesn't that mean that the first, well, you're saying the cause and then you're saying the effect and you're saying the cause again?
Pretty much.
Isn't that redundancy again?
It is. Let's see what the other students think. Ayn, what do you think?
Sorry, I was related to another question. Like, I think it's so much like the two connect work. However, and naturally, I think I should delete one, and then I think like for more blunt English, easy English, I should choose the first version, like what you edit. Like they need to have a adequate pronunciation is enough, and then it's contain really good explanation.
Okay.
But and I don't understand like why we have to delete the word theoretically. If we put the word theoretically, we should say some research source there, and I think it's enough.
Okay, let's go back to that adequately again. Theoretically, you wanted to go back to theoretically here?
Yes, theoretically there.
Okay, put it back in.
No, I mean like I don't understand why we have to delete it.
This is On's argument. He said theoretically, he says it means possible, that it is possible. So he was thinking it was a little bit too redundant. So I went with his suggestion because actually, theoretically sounds like it sounds like a really good academic word. But if you say theoretically, then it could be your reader wants to know data for you to make that decision, right? So yeah, let's go to Hi An. What do you think?
Yes, I think like
Theoretically, it's just a shorter version of theoretically possible. So
Okay, okay.
yeah.
So you see redundancy there. This one, what do you think? Hi An, Ein.
yeah, I'm I think like if we just don't put a lot of academic words, so I think we can just delete it. And I think it's possible because native speaker, maybe we can just make it more shorter. Like
That's
just
it.
it's impossible. We can just like because native speaker do not always talk grammatically.
Yeah.
Shorter, but paraphrasing.
What do you think? Shorter phrasing is often powerful by simply saying it is possible because native speakers do not always talk grammatically and may often use words incorrectly. Native speakers make grammar mistakes and may use only limited vocabulary. You know what? This is redundant, though. I just found a big redundancy. Look at this. This says exactly, it is possible because native speakers do not always talk grammatically and may often use words incorrectly. And then here we say, native speakers make grammar mistakes and may use only limited. This is basically saying the same thing, right? So you know what we could do? We could actually take this out. Now our paragraph is an introduction. So if we have, it is possible because native speakers do not always talk grammatically and may often use words incorrectly. However, if students wish to achieve an advanced level of English, they need to have an adequate pronunciation. An adequate pronunciation ability, I think, is a good addition there. Okay. We can conclude good pronunciation is not enough to make a non-native speaker. Okay. I think this would be more of a conclusion. It sounds more like a conclusion to a paper. Anna, would you like to add more to this? Again, this is like a writing workshop. That's fine with me because you have many skills and you have editing abilities. So I'm happy to see this because you can challenge each other. It becomes like a debate class. And that's fine with me if you want to treat it like a workshop. We can like build this together. This is actually quite wonderful. Anna, what would you like to add to it?
Well,
I don't really.
I'm not pretty sure. It's
Wait,
the
let
whole
Anna speak.
paragraph is speaking about, oh, you need pronunciation to be a fluent speaker. But
all
the
right, let Anna,
conclusion is
all right.
good
Anna Tran, what would
pronunciation
you like
is
to say? Because she raised her hand, we have to go with Anna. Anna, what would you like to
okay.
say?
No, I don't really have anything to add, but I just don't really understand the changing of the word adequate here because I think if you if like the initial sentence where the students need to have more than good pronunciation ability, then it would be more cohesive with the next sentence. So like good pronunciation is not enough to like speak like a native speaker. So like I think we can like maybe change it to they need more than just good pronunciation. I think
Good.
it's keep the same meaning and it's more cohesive with the next sentence.
Nice. I want to use this word skillful. What do you think, Anna? Skillful is being used more and more in writing. Skillful pronunciation means you're good at it. Skillful pronunciation. Or advanced pronunciation, but I like skillful better. Okay. All right. So we have about 10 minutes left in the class. I usually give homework. By the way, let me erase this because I want to use this. Again, I don't want the students to see all of our work in another class, right? So for homework, can you write just an introductory paragraph of 5 to 7 sentences on any topic you like, anything you like, If you're doing grad school, you could actually present a introduction that you need help on working for your graduate school studies. That's fine. Or it can be just something you're interested in. For your homework, can you write an introductory paragraph where you use hedging words to avoid generalization? So we go back up to our hedging words. And this homework is somewhat easy. From this list of words, can you write an introduction for a topic you are interested in? And so here is my example. Many Americans are talking about the price of eggs and food in general. So I wrote, recently, many people feel that the price of food in America is too high. Some economic experts tried to figure out why the prices of things like eggs have become so expensive. In this essay, we will examine how the pandemic caused an increase in the prices of food worldwide and why a few countries were hit especially hard. So for this, I tried to use this, many people, as a hedging word. Some economic experts have tried to figure out why the prices of eggs have become so expensive. We will examine how the increased prices of food worldwide. That's kind of a universal statement. So I maybe would change this. There we go. So I'm actually correcting my own work there. So it doesn't overgeneralize. Okay, so one more time. Recently, many people feel that the price of food in America is too high. Some economic experts have tried to figure out why the prices of things like eggs have become so expensive. In this essay, we will examine how the pandemic caused an increase in the prices of food in many countries and why these countries were hit especially hard. Okay. So they're saying this is why Donald Trump won the presidential election, because people were upset with high economic prices. Let me test your vocabulary. What do you call an increase in economic prices? What is the word?
Inflation.
Nice, inflation, yeah. Inflation is at about 3% in America, and that's still too high for many people. And so now they're angry with Trump. They were angry with the former President Biden. Now they're angry with Trump. So inflation is at 3% in America. Okay, let me just check our chats if I didn't. Anne says, these sentences have the same meaning. All right, I got your message there earlier on. Very interesting. Okay, by the way, Anne, who's your friend? You have a friend in the picture. Is that real or is that a stuffed animal?
That's a stuffed animal.
What is that? Oh, it's very cute. I saw one in the 100 yen shop called Daiso in Japan. Do you have Daiso in Vietnam?
No, I don't think we do.
Okay, Daiso is the 100 yen shop, which I don't know what that is. It's 100 yen.
Well, we don't use yen here, so that probably does not exist.
So what do you think 100 yen in dong?
100 dong does not buy anything, sir.
So you have to find out what 100 yen is. Anyway, your stuffed animal looks like the ones they sell at Daiso. All right. So let's see. Let me take any questions now. We have about 7 minutes left. Let's see. Mary Lee, hi on. Lian Le, do you have any questions? Anything's okay.
Would you send us this file to the group?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to send all of this PDF Word. Does anyone use Apple Pages? I have an old version of Pages that I use. And so if you want Microsoft, I can do Microsoft, Apple, and PDF. Hi, An, what would you like to ask?
So I have a question related to the book. Right now we are studying in the course Academic Writing 4. Does this book like academic writing 2 and 3?
We're going to use mostly 3.
Mostly 3,
yeah, because
right?
your level's advanced. It's really comprehensive. I just wanted to try a review lesson from book number 2. But starting from next week, we're going to jump into number 3. I just did the syllabus today and some pretty advanced topics, by the way. This very first lesson is somewhat difficult because we're looking for redundancies and we can really argue these points. That's fine with me. You have good argumentation skills. You're able to debate. So I'm really happy with that. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. More, please. Go ahead. Ein had one more thing. You can keep asking questions. I don't mind. But using Zoom, sometimes it's hard to find out who was asking the question. So sorry about that. Let me try this is a better way to find our participants. So we have, I'm just going to check with everyone. We have Ellis and Elvin and An and Anatron and Hong from the architectural school. We have Hai An. We have Lian Le and Mary Lee and Emma. Hello, Emma. How are you?
Hello, Brandon and all the class. This is my first time joining this free lesson. Thanks to Dr. Dirk Fan. So nice to see you here.
Very good, Emma. Emma, did you have any questions for us today on this overgeneralization in writing or redundancy in writing?
Yes. I joined the class a little late, so I try to get the gist of everything. But I see that I have a questions. Maybe you can help me clear it up. It's like I believe that the reason, like when we put theoretically, it means that it's correct in a perfect situation or perfect conditions. But in fact or in practical, there are some variations and it can be changed. That's why when we put theoretically, which means that we are not so sure about the result in the practical life. Is that correct?
That's very good. Yeah.
So perhaps that, like when we say that it is possible, we already, add the clarification or like a modifier somewhere that it's just possible. But we say that theoretically it's possible. We lower the chances of it being a statement. So I think that we can, yes.
Yeah, this is very interesting in perfect situations. But what you said in practical life, theoretically, maybe isn't the best. Is that correct?
So that's why I think that we can reduce the word, like we can omit the word theoretically here. And also, I agree with you that we already delete the sentence that already have the same meaning with the previous sentence. Yes, save a lot of time.
This one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I was focusing on the first part and I only could catch this after teaching everybody. Then I thought for a moment and I said, wait a minute, these two are saying the same thing, right?
Yes, that's all from me. Thank you.
No, very good. Your before we were using the word rhetoric, I showed the student on what rhetoric is. And rhetoric has different meanings. Rhetoric can be the way politicians speak. It's called political rhetoric. And it means using specific words that repeats phrases. And sometimes they call rhetoric nonsense because the politician is using it to protect himself or whatever. But the original rhetoric, and I'm going to write this word one more time, the traditional rhetoric was actually a really important subject in school. They taught rhetoric at secondary schools and colleges because it involved logic. And logic would be what you were describing as the word theoretical as a theoretical as a set of perfect situations. And then you said here, practical life doesn't have this perfection to it. So it might not be the best thing to use. You could take away theoretically here and just write, it is possible because native speakers, you could just go with that. That's good enough and take away the theoretically.
Teacher, can I say something?
Sure, Mr. On.
There's a rhetoric that sex offenders should not be walking on the road and do not have guns. But you see, that rhetoric is wrong because politicians are very well defended and have guns.
See, this is the problem with political rhetoric, is you can see they do not make sense on. You can see the what are called, their words are illogical, right? And means not logical. Okay, and we're going to actually talk about that later in the course, because we have to decide if some writing is logical or not logical, not consistent. So that's going to be a big part of what we're going to do in one of our units. When you look at your sources, do they support what you are writing? Are they logical? If they are not, they're called illogical. And so your reader wants to see logical phrases. And that's where rhetoric is important. But that's good rhetoric. What An just described, it's bad political rhetoric. So this word rhetoric has taken on some negative meanings, everybody. It can be sort of like lying words politicians use, because many of them are trained as lawyers. But the kind of rhetoric we're interested in is the rhetoric of English grammar and things of that nature. Okay, so your homework, can you write 5 to 7 sentences in a paragraph? And your focus isn't on redundancy. Redundancy is much more difficult. The focus for the first homework, and you can put your homework in Zalo in a Word file. If you put it in Google Documents, please make sure I have access to it, because some students leave restrictions on the Google Documents and I can't open the file to read their homework. So if you do that, please make sure I have access to it if you use Google Documents, Google Docs. So the focus is on these. Can you write 5 to 7 sentences using the verbs, the modal verbs, the adjectives, to show that you can avoid overgeneralization? And An says, you got it, teacher, I can do that. Okay. So I have to finish. Sometimes I like to go 5 minutes over, but I have a class right after this one that I have to prepare for. So I should say good night to you. And in Japan, it's already 9 o'clock at night. In Vietnam, it's 7. In Russia, maybe it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm guessing. And so in Germany, about, I don't know, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So I will say good night to you. It was a pleasure talking to you all. Thank you very much. I was happy to hear your persuasive speaking skills. I will see you next Sunday. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome, everybody. Bye-bye. Wonderful.